What's up, everybody? It's some other guy, so guys should give me my tea. I would like to bring a subject up today. That subject is to talk about bringing truth to power. There's a fundamental abstract idea when it comes to how we perceive truth. For some people, truth is derived from what you would say solidifying what they already in their heads believe. For others, it is empirical fact, something that can't be denied in any form of scientific or mathematical fashion. Usually, these two are usually in eternal debate because of the fact that when one seeks to use complete, and utter, mathematical fact, the other will lean on its faith as a means for its believing in what it believes as truth. Bringing truth to power is something that's very dangerous because of the fact that the human mind is capable of being so far on the extremes of complete mathematical and utterly cold logic to complete and utter fanatical delusion and complete faith without any form of logic in and of itself. Because the human brain is capable of being on these two extremes, it's very dangerous for truth to power as a concept. Because truth to power in and of itself, its definition, I would say, from my perspective, again, would be when you take truth of any kind, whether it be made through faith or whether it be made through calculation, and take that truth and use it to expand on a more physical and global level. Basically saying that if a person believes that the sky should, just for example, if a person is to say that the sky is not actually blue, it's black, but because the light of the sun reflects off of the water, it turns the sky blue. That can be either considered empirical fact, or let's say someone decides to come up with some religious or faith-based reason as to why it's blue. They could say that the blue comes from the blood of the sun, that the blood of the sun is actually blue, right? And so what they do in turn is they say that, for those who wish to be blue bloods, we can call the faction blue bloods. We should do this or we should do that. They can come up with a doctrine of how you should behave and what you should and should not value, not only in terms of your behavior, but as your moral compass. This is the part about truth to power that makes it dangerous, is that when you bring truth to a certain power, you enact that power on a person's moral compass. You can change a person from being a very docile and innocent creature into a very morbid or very violent creature based on the truth you convince them to believe. Truth to power suggests that no one statement is completely true. It suggests that what is truth? Right? What is truth? Because even if we want to, base it around the idea of mathematical and surgical precision, it is limited to what our human brains can conceive as truth. Even in its most mathematical and surgical forms, it is limited to that physical form. While the others would consider faith as a part of their truth. The idea of relying on something that cannot be mathematically equated. But at the same time, because it cannot be, for our human brains, anything is possible within that equation because it cannot be equated by our physical forms, meaning even meaning our brains and its physical limitations on how it can compute. Even though we have seen that our brains can compute to surprisingly high levels, it is still a physical thing that cannot exceed that transcendental knowledge. So both sides have their arguments in terms of what it is that is truly true, but the idea is the truth to power part. And the reason why I think that part is probably the most important, because it doesn't matter what you believe. What matters is what you plan to do with your truth. Because again, that's what truth to power is. It is a plan. It's the idea of taking my truth and turning it into power. Like, for instance, I am a man who does not believe in the multiple genders that people have been so willing to accept. I don't believe it. I don't believe it because it has only been in our recent history that we've even tried to define humans as anything more than binary species of male and female. It's only been our recent history that we've done that. And even in that sense, the studies, or should I say the knowledge that we have gained in trying to define those things, most of it is conjecture at most. It's conjecture. It's possibilities, but not real fact. Whereas there is a true fact that when a child is born, it is born male or it is born female. That is an undisputable fact. But we have tried to place conjecture, and I say we as a human race have tried to place all kinds of ideas and conjecture on something as binary, or should I say as solid, as the human race being a binary species. Mind you, this has been the idealism that has literally created centuries and centuries and centuries of dynasties and centuries of progression in the human race. From the very beginning, like, for instance, I don't see how someone could be Kemetic, like I am, and believe that there is more than two genders in the human race. Like, the Kemetic beliefs that I believe in follow kings, queens, and an entire civilization who recognized only two forms of belief, two forms of human existence, male and female. They never made transgender gods because they don't exist. And the reason why is because the ideal of a transgender doesn't truly exist. What we are experiencing is a culture of body mutation. What we are experiencing is a culture, and again, this is not me being a Christian at all, because I'm not a Christian. Again, I'm Kemetic, but I can understand the dissonance that comes when you realize that your world around you is literally trying to take the true laws that hold it together and bend them just to try and circumvent certain laws. Because that's what this is. This is people trying to bring their truth to power. But what's happening is, if you actually look at it, this truth has no foundation. Faith has a foundation. Mathematical truth has a foundation. This is neither one of those. This isn't faith. This isn't a religion. And it's not mathematical truth. It's not biological truth. It's in the middle. It's conjecture. It's people assuming. And they're trying to make their assumptions truth. And because people are so willing to fall into this category of, I don't want to piss off the next person. And we've become that as a human race. We've become people so sensitive to other people's feelings that it's almost as if we have this weird thing of, we want world peace so much that we're willing to destroy what makes us human in order to achieve world peace. That is our problem. That is our innate problem. We want world peace so much that we're willing to destroy what makes us human and what makes us real to achieve world peace. When there is no such thing, and there will never be a such thing as world peace. That is one thing that we must always remember. Death, destruction, and war are a part of who we are as human beings. We will always war with each other. We will always kill each other. And once we recognize that that is a part of who we are, we don't have to then try and tiptoe around the understanding that what we have done over the last 10 years almost, as we have been bowing to a conjecture that has no true foundation. And the only way these kind of people are created is through modification. These things are not natural things that happen within our biology. Men don't just one day wake up one morning and lose their dicks and become women. Women don't just one day wake up and don't have a vagina anymore and all of a sudden have a dick and balls. That's not natural evolution. It's not. It's not even a part of our evolutionary phase. Mind you, we have been Homo sapiens for many centuries. And you've never seen that evolution happen. The only reason why it's even present is because through body modification. It's through body modification. It's through hormone treatments. It's through all these different things that are from the outside making the person on the inside transform molecularly and biologically into someone else. Let's just talk about that. We have reached a point now in our scientific power that we can literally begin to bend the laws of binary systems to where we can turn a man into a woman. Biologically, we can damn near do it. The only thing we haven't been able to do yet is, we probably have, I just don't know, is successfully incubate a human being inside of a man's womb. But the fact that we did that does not mean that that's truth. That's not truth. That's modification. There's a difference between the two. What is true and what is being modified and then being considered true because you can do it is different. It's different. It's completely different. It doesn't mean it's truth. It just means that I can do this, but it doesn't mean that it's true. If you took a cup that was painted red, and it was originally painted red, but then I painted it blue, my modification, I can say, except that this color is now blue. This cup is now blue because I painted it blue. You can say, yes, the cup is now blue, but it was truly red. Do you see what I mean? The truth is not what's modified, it's what its original form actually is. And if you take the modifications away, this truth never changes. Take away the modifications and all of this other shit you hear about trans this and trans that, and the human race will continue to be binary. Without that other shit, the human race will always be binary. The only way this shit comes into play is when we modify ourselves. And body modification started with, of course, tattoos and piercings, and we've been doing that since the ancient days. But back then, it was the idea of our body displaying our beliefs. We did those things to display our beliefs. We didn't do those things to literally change our fucking genders. And again, there's a big problem in people being able to do that. There's a big problem for a grown-ass man being able to turn himself into a woman and then go into places in which only women are allowed. Because it's not like his brain goes from being a male brain to a female brain. He is going to always think like a man, even if he is in a woman's body. And to me, that is the core of what this whole situation became. It is two sides of a coin. It is men and women who wanted to prey on the opposite sex so bad that they were willing to become the opposite sex in order to easily do so. And that's what the entirety of this movement is about. Because if you don't base it on that, then there's only one other way that you can actually define it, and that is body dysmorphia. People who do not feel like they belong in their own bodies. And body dysmorphia has been considered a mental illness. So what do we call them? Do we call them nefarious people who are actually trying to change their gender in order to prey on the others? Or do we call them mentally ill people? Because there's only two explanations to this. If you try to make them in some form or fashion a part of the actual evolutionary species of human beings, you are completely wrong. At that point, you are completely wrong. By faith and by mathematical equation, you are completely wrong. And that is the only two truths that we have in this world to play with. Faith and mathematical equation. And by both, you're completely wrong. This is just my first take on many things that I'm going to be talking about. I wanted to start this whole series off with a more like visual thing, and I will be getting my webcam together to do this in actual like webcam form so you can see me. But I wanted this to be the first one. Truth to power. And understanding that, all because people yell and scream that, believe me, this is true. Usually, it's the lies that are screamed way louder than truth. I'm a the Godslayer, Godslayer Gaming YT, Godslayer TV, and this is what you're watching now, Godslayer TV. Come holler at your boy. My mind of madness is out.